So I didn't want to address this, but we're here now. Look, since the beginning of my career, there's always been someone who's made me feel like I didn't deserve the opportunity I got. From Assassin's Creed to Raised by Wolves, I've had to ignore people saying that it wasn't the work that got me the opportunities. No, it was simply because I'm black.
Abubakar Salim is making headlines again in the game industry for not taking well to a conversation about him. And while there are specific things that I don't necessarily agree with people saying about him and that kind of thing, I do always feel like and fall back to people are allowed to say what they are going to say, and based off of that, we can form our perceptions about them from that. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Abubakar Salim did not take too well to Saturday Night Hypnosis. There was a conversation going on talking about Tales of Kenzera Studios, Surgent Studios shutting down and releasing all their employees because they don't have the funds to continue to pay them. And he didn't take too well to people talking about him. Once again, falling back on old reliable racism, all these other things going wrong with him, instead of looking inward and wondering how he can be better himself to avoid the same pitfalls he's already gone through. So in this video, I kind of want to make an appeal to Abubakar Salim. Not that I necessarily want to have a conversation with him, nor do I think I can necessarily trust him, because he's the type of person that always plays the perpetual victim. It's always someone else's fault, and there's never any accountability coming from him. And with that, it's just kind of like, okay, here's an appeal to you. This is why the gaming community overwhelmingly is saying, yeah, we don't really care about the game. It wasn't really for us. It wasn't something that appealed to me. Don't make me feel bad. Don't berate me. Don't call me a racist. Don't insinuate all these horrible things just because your game isn't selling. Take some accountability and you'll see just how quickly the tide can turn. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for my full thoughts breaking down Abubakar Salim and his company Surgent Studios, and why I feel like the gaming community in general has not necessarily embraced it. The gaming industry has seen its share of passionate creators throughout the years, heartfelt stories, deeply personal projects, but sometimes that very passion and personal investment blurs the line between authenticity and manipulation. And this recently emerged during the Saturday Night Hypnosis, where before I joined it, there was a conversation going on where some people didn't take too well to some people talking about Abubakar, and people were instantly getting their panties in a bunch screaming racism from the top of the mountains. And it's just like, okay, you're welcome to think what you want about people, but what I took out of this conversation is people are just extrapolating why the game failed, and it all goes back to how Abubakar was blaming the community for not purchasing their game instead of focusing on a game that appealed to people that want to buy it.
No, I was just going to say, like, if you begin in the opening seconds of your video by trying to denounce the idea that your being black has anything to do with it, it only makes it look more like it has everything to do with it. That's,
Right.
that's all I was going to say.
No,
Especially
that's
when you
what I
start
did
off a
earlier.
conversation like that.
Sing us the song, you're the colored man.
That has
Jesus
inspired so many people.
Oh no, there's two of them.
It was one of our goals from the outset.
In response to that video, Saleem responded with a tweet that raised a few eyebrows. He said, "Are these your leaders? Mocking the speech I gave about the game I dedicated to my late father? The man who told me that games are a great space to enjoy and escape, a place in which community is strong." Again, my confusion comes from these people not willing to engage on grounds that are civil, when all I've offered is transparency and communication. But no, they wear the same masks that they're saying they're fighting against. The clothing of those who ridicule and attack for no reason, who want division in an industry, who inject politics in whatever they share. I'm here if you have questions, which, again, on the surface, you look at that, it's like, oh man, yeah, this guy's getting attacked by people once again. Everyone's just all out to get Abubakar. No one likes this guy. Man, that's really weird. When in reality, if you dive just a little bit deeper past the surface, you'll see exactly what the problem is. Despite calls for transparency and engagement, his response highlights a much larger issue: his unabashed reliance on emotional manipulation to shield himself from any criticism. While it does work on simple-minded NPCs on on Twitter, and trust me, I saw plenty of people jumping in to virtue signal how much they just love this guy so much and just how awful all these people are that are discussing his game and why it failed, I would venture to guess very few, if any, of those people actually bought his game. Saleem's career as a professional actor is well known, especially when it comes to his small role in House of the Dragon, which I actually watched with my wife. And honestly, we thought he did a fantastic job because he's an excellent actor, which is what you need to remember when going into conversations with this person. He's not just some generic person walking on the street. Like, he is someone that is professionally trained in emotional manipulation. And I spoke about this in a previous video, but now that we know he's a professional actor, going into it with the mindset of, oh, okay, this guy's not just some Joe Schmo that just makes games. He actually is a trained professional actor on big time shows and movies. And now he's taking to Twitter to emotionally manipulate people. And you watch that clip and you're like, oh, I look at it from a different perspective now.
So the reason I'm here tonight is because with the love and support of a lot of people here, I'm going to take another big risk and I'm going to show you what we've been building. You know, I'm going to offer you this game, a game from my old man. I hope you like it.
And like I said in my previous video talking about this, it can come across as a bit cold and curt and harsh to be like, yeah, no, I understand that you're using your dad here to try to manipulate the audience, and I don't think that's a great look. At the same time, I understand you loved your dad and you wanted to use him to help push you and motivate you to sell this game. But it's not a great idea when you start mixing the two together, trying to push sales. As Grum said on Twitter, the entire marketing strategy for Zao was, my father died, please buy my game, and only racists won't buy my game. This is not a good strat. I have sympathy as I lost my own father. But you can just say that once, or put it in your game's dedication. Turning it into a marketing point disrespects your dad. And that's honestly, I think, where a lot of people on the other side are coming from. Like, we're not just these evil people that are just looking to say these awful things. We're just calling it like we see it. And we see you trying to emotionally manipulate people that aren't able to think past their own noses. And that's a problem, because I'd like to think, at least of myself as a consumer advocate, I want people to understand what they're dealing with, and I don't want people to be fooled. At its core, the problem here isn't about race or politics or any of the other divisive topics that tend to come up in discussions like this. It's about trust, or more specifically, lack thereof. Because he's a professional actor and I've seen him use these manipulative tactics in these videos, I take a big step back and say that the starting point with Saleem is broken because his communication all feels so staged. It's really hard for me to take his words at face value when they seem so rehearsed, so carefully curated to evoke any sympathy and rally any supporters. And almost without fail, after watching Saleem from afar for a while now, it feels like this is what he always constantly falls back to. Immediately lean into emotion, appeal to the community, and call out supposed division. But that approach only reinforces the perception that he's not engaging with people in good faith discussion. Instead of fostering any kind of genuine conversations, he's creating a whole dynamic where disagreement is framed as hostility. And that's a really dangerous place for any leader in the game industry to be in. Of course there's going to be some racist people out there or some bad actors that you deal with. But the problem I'm seeing with Saleem is he's finding like that one or two people that are going really out of the way. And he's saying, here we go again. Look at these people. This is what the problem with the game community is. This is why my game's not selling. And I'm like, bro, stop doing that. That is giving a false narrative, a straw man argument, and perpetuating the problem of you always playing the victim. At the end of the day, Saleem is very smart, and he's also a very talented actor, and undoubtedly a very capable game developer. But the gaming community deserves better than emotionally manipulative responses to criticism. It's time that Saleem takes a step back and thinks about what's transpiring and self-reflects, takes accountability, and understanding that the way he's perpetuating this projection issue and saying, it's not me, it's everyone else that's the problem, is exactly why his games and companies fail. Well, that and making a game that doesn't really appeal to a large audience is probably the bigger problem, and also being in bed with Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't help that either. But ultimately, at the end of the day, needs to self-reflect, understand what decisions he's made, which ones were wrong, which ones worked, and try to be better moving forward. Taking a look at Surgent Studios and how they put out that blanket statement saying that they're shutting down and putting all their people out until they can get some sort of income from some sort of angel investor wasn't the best look. Honestly, the game failed on its merits alone, and people don't want to see that happen again. If you guys already have a working prototype for a follow-up, why don't you show that to the community and try to crowdfund it if you're so proud of it, if you feel like there's a passion behind it. Unfortunately, I see this as someone trying to grift off investment using DEI and ESG and using that whole perspective instead of focus on the games and the gamers and the people that actually buy the games. And that therein is the exact issue with all of this. Anyways, take it or leave it, Abubakar. I know that this might come across as a little bit harsh, and I know you always talk about wanting a conversation and a dialogue, but the point is, there is no need for a conversation with you because it's one-sided. You don't change. You have this perception of manipulating people, and you do not self-reflect on your choices. So until you do that, you look in a mirror, you understand what you've done wrong, and you come forward and apologize, take accountability for your actions and say, I'm going to be better, and let's have a conversation about how to move this forward. Nothing is going to change. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, again, check out smashjt.com for the full article. Huge shout out to Hypnotic and everyone on the Saturday Night Hypnosis crew. That was a fantastic stream where I enjoy having the freedoms of listening to people say things that I don't necessarily agree with and getting the voices out there where we can have these conversations. Because I feel like at the end of the day, that's the most important part in all of this. If you guys appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, you stay smashing.
Smash, Smash,